And just also a reminder that we are, of course, recording this. So Andrea, if you could start recording, please, that would also be helpful. Excellent. Okay, so first, welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining us today, and for bearing with us while we fixed all of our little technical issues. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us out of your busy afternoon. So welcome to our mini live lesson all about inspiring actions for eco schools. And today I am so excited to welcome Marion Montgomery from Paws on Plastic, where she will be telling us all about the charity that she helped to start and also talk about some inspiring actions to tackle litter in our communities. So I will hand over to Marion just now. And I know that you have a video to share later on, so please just let me know when you'd like that.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Katrina. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Marion from Paws on Plastic, and I'm going to try and share. I've never shared anything on this before, but I will try to share my screen so you can see my little presentation. This isn't what I was going to show.
Okay, you just need to make it full screen.
Full screen, right.
So right now you're sharing the window with the presentation in it. You just need to make it presentation mode.
Right.
But we can see your screen, so that's a good start.
Right. So hopefully you can all see that.
Excellent.
This is our logo. So I'm Marion. I founded this charity. It's a charity based in Stonehaven, which is in Aberdeenshire, just south of Aberdeen. So hello if you're from Aberdeenshire. My daughter drew this logo when she was 13, 4 years ago when we started, and obviously shows we're to do with dogs and we're to do with litter. And we basically encourage dog owners, just while they're out walking their dogs every day, to pick up a few pieces of litter. And our initials actually spell out POP. So that's a POP bottle in the middle of our screen. Can I just ask, hands up anyone who has a dog? Hopefully there's lots of people putting a hand up, they've got a dog. And also hands up anyone who knows someone who has a dog. And hopefully that's everybody, and you're exactly who I'm looking to speak to. So I'm going to talk a bit about who we are, what we do, what our impact is, and how you and your school can get involved. And I'm also, as Katrina said, going to talk a little bit about the power that you all have as individuals, as school pupils, to influence people and hopefully inspire people to get involved and do actions around litter and improving their community, because we all have power. Often we think, oh, I'm only 8, I'm only 12, I'm only ancient like me, what can I possibly do? But we do all have power, and hopefully through this you'll be inspired about something that you could maybe do to help the situation in your village or your town or your city. So I started this campaign, Paws on Plastic, about 4 years ago now, but actually I've been doing things around this for as long as I've had dogs, which is a long, long time. This is one of my dogs, Murphy. He's no longer with us now, but I would say he's my first litter picking dog. Every time we take Murphy out, throw him a ball in the park, he'd come back with a bottle, because I don't know about you if you've got a dog, but lots of dogs love the crunch of a plastic bottle. It's a satisfying, great noise for them. And a lot of dogs naturally pick up litter when they're on walks, especially if they're Labradors or Spaniels or Retriever type dogs. They'll often do this. And now thinking back, I'm thinking dogs have actually been telling us to pick up litter for years, and we've only just caught on. But thank goodness that lots of people have. This is my 2 dogs that I have now. There's Paddy on the left there and Ted. They're gorgeous dogs, really, really sweethearts. And they also are attracted to plastic bottles. But thankfully, we don't pick up too many of them now. But 4 years ago, I was a primary teacher in Gourdon. Hello, Gourdon, if you're there. Just down the coast a little bit in Aberdeenshire. And I was teaching eco. And then I took ill and I was off work for a long time. it turned into low energy, and it doesn't really work low energy and being a teacher, because you need to have lots of energy to get out there and have fun with your pupils. So I was off work, I was at home, I had just joined a course on run by the British Council on plastic pollution, and looking at ways that we could all do some kind of initiative in our local communities about plastic pollution. And I didn't really have an idea, I just went along to find out more information so that I could tell pupils at school. But I then was off ill, and all I was doing basically when I wasn't at home was I had to get my dog out. I just had Paddy on the left there, and I would start a little walk, maybe about half an hour round from my house, and I would walk near my house. There was a burn with it's a nice little bridge, and lots of people feed the ducks there. And I would walk past there, and I'd see some litter and think, oh, that's a shame, and then I would walk on. And then the next day I would walk out, and I'd see that same litter and maybe even more still sitting there. And eventually I just thought, why don't I pick that up? That's just going to be there tomorrow. So being a responsible dog owner, I always have a bag in my pocket or extra bags to pick up after my dogs. I just thought, I'll just pick that up. And I did. And it actually felt quite good, because I knew that if I didn't pick that up, the wind was going to blow, that litter was going to end up in the river with the ducks, and eventually it was going to head its way out to sea. And so often we think, if we live in a city, we live in a town, we're not near the coast, we think, well, what does it matter? How can that litter get to the ocean? But think where your nearest burn is, where your nearest river is, and that's how it all ends up there, because 80% of the litter in the sea started out on land. So the idea of Paws and Plastic is really very, very simple. We just ask dog owners, while they're walking with their dogs, as responsible dog owners, they always should have extra bags in their pocket. Just bend down, and if you see a bit of litter, pick up a couple of pieces. And if lots of us are doing it, then it really does add up to a huge, huge amount. And I'm going to show you a big sum in a little bit about how that really does add up. So very simple idea. It's amazing the effect that it can have. So we started in Stonehaven, lovely little seaside town in the northeast of Scotland, but we now have spread worldwide, because I basically just started a Facebook group. I added everyone I knew who had dogs. As you'll see from the people you know, lots and lots of people have dogs, and they all added their friends who had dogs, and it gradually spread across the world. And we now have 23,000 members and followers across social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter and LinkedIn, and we also have our website as well. So we became a charity, although we've been going 4 years, we became a charity last year with two simple aims. The first aim is to protect animals, communities, and our beautiful environment. And we do that by encouraging people to pick up a few bits of litter when they're walking, whether they have a dog or not, but ideally dog owners we're especially targeting. So we encourage people at events and posts on social media, and also we educate on the consequences of litter. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think that everyone who drops litter really sets out and thinks, oh, I'm going to hurt animals today, I'm going to harm the environment, I'm going to drop this. I think most people just don't really think. And it only takes a second to drop a piece of litter. But we're trying to put that little thought in their head on that second before they drop litter. I don't want to hurt animals. If I drop this, what's going to happen? And I think often people relate more to animals than they do to people. So if you can put the idea in someone's head that they're going to hurt an animal if they drop this, that's what hopefully will stop them. So we go out and we speak to schools, and we speak to community groups, and we speak to everyone who'll have us, and try and encourage them to do their own little bit and stop dropping litter as well. So our impact, to say this is our huge big sum, but our impact, if we all do a little, it adds up to a huge impact. So if we have 23,000 dog owners, you can check if my sums are right after this, if everyone picks up just 2 pieces of litter on an average of 2 daily walks, because we asked people how often they walk their dogs, and most people said 2 or 3 times, so the average was 2. So that's 92,000 pieces every day, or about 34 million pieces every year. And it's actually quite good, because if you only ask people to pick up 2 pieces, it actually gets very addictive and they can't stop at just 2 pieces. So they pick up far more. So this is the minimum that people have picked up. But if you start doing it, you find it really does get addictive. But what we find as well is lots of studies have shown this, and fewer people actually drop litter when areas are clean. So it actually has a double effect. I don't know if, like me, you get a dishwasher in your house, but I always tell my children, go in, if you've got a dirty dish, take it downstairs and put it in the dishwasher. But you see, if someone leaves their cup by the sink, what does the next person do? They often leave their cup by the sink too, instead of putting it in the dishwasher, as they know they should. Is people are lazy, basically. So if there's litter there, it's an excuse for other people to drop their litter. So if an area is clean, more people do the right thing and they don't drop litter. So it has a double effect. So as I say, we've got members from nearly 80 countries worldwide. It's lovely seeing in our Facebook group when people post and talk about what they've picked up in different parts of the world. We've got every single continent involved in our Facebook group except for Antarctica. And I can't think why. I don't know, maybe you could tell me why. But we've got Africa, we've got Europe, we've got North and South America, we've got Asia, every continent except for Antarctica. And we like to think we're all joined by the oceans. We often talk about people being separated by oceans, but oceans are what the litter travels on. So we are all joined by the oceans. If you drop something in Canada, it could easily wash up on the shores in Scotland. So we are very much joined, and we're also joined by our love of dogs, and most importantly, our wish to protect animals and do something about it. So some people think sometimes about litter picking as being, oh, we should get the people in the prisons and there should be a punishment for people. But actually, litter picking is hugely beneficial. You get out in the fresh air, you get some exercise, lovely to be with your dogs as well. It's a huge boost to mental health to take a positive action that is really so simple and only takes a second. I once counted how long it actually took me. I was visiting Portlethen Primary last week, and I got them to count how long it took me to bend down and pick up a plastic bottle, and it was actually about 3 seconds. So it really doesn't take a lot of time, but it's hugely beneficial to your mental health, and you can see immediate impacts. That bottle, that plastic can is no longer there. Every single piece makes a difference. That's what could save an animal's life. So it really does make a difference. And it's good to be part of a team. If you're in Paws on Plastic, every single thing is supported. So it's great. And I really just like that picture. We don't encourage people to train their dogs to pick up litter, but if the dogs help, that's great. But we don't really know what could be in that bottle. It could be something to harm. And animals are harmed by litter, and that's why we remove it, basically. So we don't encourage people to train their dogs to pick up litter at all, although that's where the idea came from. You probably know lots of information about how long litter is in the environment for before it eventually breaks down, and what it eventually breaks down into, which is just tiny little bits of plastic, which is often even worse than the original piece of litter that was intact. But it really is amazing how long litter can be in the environment. Our members can pick up, crisp packets that have been lying around for 50 years, and they still look like they had just been bought yesterday. Cigarette butts, often people don't even think of them as litter, but they do so much harm. The chemicals inside them, and they have plastic in the tip. And also the new thing, vapes as well. I don't know if you've found them in your community, but disposable vapes are a real big increasing problem, and people don't know how to recycle them properly. So lots of information that you can probably tell me more about these things as well, but great to research. But the main thing is try and think of ways to avoid these things, how we can use just reusable things like our water bottles, etc. I'm sure you've got lots of ideas around this. It would be great to hear. So where do we go from here? I couldn't find a recent figure about how many dogs there are in Scotland, but 4 years ago when I set up Paws on Plastic, there were about 1 million dogs in Scotland. Amazing number. And a more recent figure for the UK. When we started, it was 9 million, and now it's 13 million. So many people have got dogs in the last few years. So there's an amazing potential for Paws on Plastic to grow and grow and grow as there are more and more dog owners in Britain. There's been a lot of problems with litter the last few years when people weren't able to travel very much. They maybe weren't going overseas for holidays, and more people were holidaying in Scotland, and there was a huge increase in the litter, as you'll probably have heard as well. But one thing that thankfully came out of it, because I always like to think of the positive things, are that more people started noticing the litter problem that they maybe hadn't before. So we're very keen to work with all other groups, schools, Keep Scotland Beautiful, all other groups that are involved in doing something about the litter. And Keep Scotland Beautiful's findings, some of these you'll have seen as well, but great that so many people in Scotland agree that litter is a problem and we need to do something about it. But the most shocking figure that I think came out of this report is that over £1 million a week is spent clearing up litter in Scotland. And, you know, we can all think of far better things that £1 million a week spent clearing up litter could be spent on. So, but I think the positive thing is that more and more people like yourselves are thinking about taking action and doing things about it. So it really is always a positive to be found. And we can hopefully reduce the amount being spent clearing up litter. If people just don't drop it, would be so much better, don't you think? So I'm so interested to hear what your schools are planning to do. You're probably doing lots of things like encouraging people to bring reusable water bottles, maybe having a wrapper-free Wednesday, other things like that. Fantastic. I'm sure you've got lots of things. One thing I would encourage you to do is think about encouraging your school community, your whole school community, to join Paws on Plastic if they have dogs. Often dog fouling can be an issue as well. It's just another kind of litter, something that shouldn't be in out of place. Many dog owners either don't pick up after their dogs, or they pick up and then they throw the plastic bag. And we are constantly picking up that as well. It is just another horrible kind of litter. So encouraging Paws on Plastic to your whole school community is a great way to encourage dog owners to be responsible and also do that extra bit. So maybe you could do before and after photos of an area that you've cleaned. Doesn't need to be a huge area, could be a little area. Before and after photos are a good way to show the difference, and maybe having a clean-up event or posters or something. And we would love to come and visit your school and along with the dogs and join in with there if we could. That would be lovely. This is just a few ideas. This was a big programme that we launched last year with Keep Scotland Beautiful and Scottish SPCA, and it was Shine a Light on Litter during the dark winter months. Just taking before and after pictures. See, that's Ted on the top left there, walking past the football pitches in Stonehaven with some litter that always gathers around there, and then a nice picture with no litter. It was only a small area, but took probably a few minutes to do, but it made a huge difference. And there's just a silly picture at the bottom, what Ted thought of the litter that we picked up around the football pitches there. So another just little idea, but it did pick up a lot of publicity. What I was talking about earlier was the power that we all have. We do have a power. Paws on Plastic started just with me, and it's increased to 23,000 people around all these countries worldwide. And that's not me bumming about me saying I'm fantastic. That's just showing you the impact that we can all have. Just one person, whether you're 8, you're 12, or you're 43, it doesn't matter. We all have the power. This is a lovely young person. She's a member of Paws on Plastic. This is Elizabeth, who's in the Wirral, and her lovely dog Banjo. Elizabeth was horrified when she was 8. She's 12 now, and when she was 8, she saw someone throwing something out of her car. And it made her so annoyed that she decided she was going to pick up litter in her community. And she encouraged lots of other people to get involved. She has regular litter picks, either after school on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning, whatever. And she picks up vast amounts. You see the beautiful beach that she's got close to her. And that's just one person when she was 8. And she now has 5,000 people following her on social media, and she's a member of Paws and Plastic. Fantastic job that she does. But there's lots of other people. There's Finlay Pringle. I don't know if you've heard about him, the Ullapool Shark Ambassador. He's obviously up in Ullapool. He and his family pick up vast amounts again on the beach up at Ullapool. Ullapool Sea Sabres are another fantastic group that do so much, lots of campaigns around there about find out more information about. And Sunnyside Primary School, just a few that I've picked out. Sunnyside I met at the Dog Lovers Show quite a few years ago now, and I just think they're fantastic. They have an eco theme right through their school, from primary 1 up to primary 7 on a different aspect right through the school, and definitely they've won awards. They're definitely one to look at if you're thinking of making a difference in your school. You can Google lots of other, but I think young people have a fantastic power that they can unleash on whatever area you are interested in. People listen, especially when it's an eco type thing, and it puts a little bit of shame on us adults to think that young people are having to do this. But whatever idea you come up with, whether it's to influence yourselves, your families, your schools, your community, your country, your world, I'm sure you have lots of ideas, but it's good to do a little bit of research and find out what other young people have been doing, what they've been doing. Could you do something similar in your area? And you really do have power. You can see from 8 years old the influence that these young people have had. So I'd love to come along and see how you get along with the ideas for your school. But a cute wee picture. Ted's a bit older now, but this is him as a puppy. But thank you very much for having us. I'd be delighted to answer any questions. But I just wanted to leave you with this final little quote, which I think I want to really love. There's no such thing as a way. When you throw something away, it must go somewhere. And that's the whole aim of Paws on Plastic, is trying to make people think about, where does it go? If you drop something, where does it go? What are the consequences? And if we can put that thought in someone's head, then they're less likely to drop a piece of litter. And because laws and things like that can only go so far, we can never be everywhere that a law is going to make a difference. It has to come from inside the person to realise what the consequences of dropping litter are. So I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, if I can work out how to do that.
Would you like me to show your video just now?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. I can do that. If you stop sharing, I will share the video, no problem.
Okay.
Public littering and plastic pollution are widely acknowledged as being harmful to the Earth and its species. The declaration of our current climate being in crisis has forced communities to question their everyday habits. Dog owners around the world have found one simple way of making a positive environmental impact. Paws on Plastic is an online community which encourages followers to pick up at least 2 pieces of litter while walking their pets. Originating on Facebook in 2018, the group now has over 18,000 members in 80 countries, meaning that 26 million pieces of litter are collected every year. As members of the global Paws on Plastic community, my family, including our dog Cassie, decided to record the amount of rubbish collected from 1 week of dog walks. From plastic bottles to food wrappers, it was worryingly easy to exceed the 2-piece target each day. According to environmental organisation Zero Waste Scotland, it is estimated that across the country, 475 pieces of litter are dropped every minute, even though this offence risks an £80 fine. Scottish species are also struggling under the weight of our waste, despite a 37% increase of seaside cleanups over the last decade. The founder of Paws on Plastic, Marion Montgomery, lives in Scotland's coastal town of Stonehaven. Seeing the first-hand importance of protecting marine life and our oceans, Marion was inspired to start the Eco Initiative. By the end of our week-long challenge, we managed to collect just under 100 pieces of litter, including cans, wrappers, straws and cable ties. Removing rubbish from the planet is a huge step towards altering the littering mindset. If an area is continually strewn with plastic, people are less likely to acknowledge the impact of littering. However, when an area is kept clean, this naturally deters the community from making a mess. It shows that such a simple act can have a huge impact when completed collectively.
That's a great video. Thanks for that. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just that it's a great thing to promote to your school community. It's so simple. You don't need any special equipment. I've just a dog bag here. Obviously, you can just pick up as you pick up with your dogs. So it's open, it's inclusive to all, and a great way of just involving your whole school community.
I like the idea that you're only asking them to pick up 2 things. It's something very small with the hope that it'll lead to something bigger. I wanted to ask our participating schools if there were any questions they wanted to ask Marion. No pressure, Marion. It's okay. I'm sure they'll be nice to you. If there's any questions that you wanted to ask, now is your chance. And if you think of something after the presentation, or if you're watching this on our recording and you have a question, please feel free to email us at ecoschools@keepscotlandbeautiful.org and we will do our best to answer you. Now, Marion, I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but we have a question. How long has Paws on Plastic been going?
It's been going for 4 years now. We've just been a charity for 1 year, but just over 4 years. It was November 2018 we started.
Mm-hmm. And how old is your dog?
My dog. Well,
yes.
My dog Paddy, it's nearly his birthday actually, so he's going to be 7 on the 21st of January. And my other dog is 3, so he's still quite young and daft.
Oh.
But if you want to invite them to your school, I could certainly bring them along.
Oh, visits with your dogs now. There's an offer I don't think many people would be able to refuse. I have 2 more questions. Oh, 3 more. Woo! What happens to the recycling that you pick up?
Well, that's a big question. I certainly take things home to recycle. So my recycling bin is usually full of other people's litter. But I mean that's picked up by the council and hopefully it is recycled in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. And how many people are in your charity?
In our chat, well, through social media, we've 23,000 members and followers, so a large amount. You can also register on our website to get regular updates about Paws on Plastic. So maybe that's something that you could do as well.
Okay. And how many dogs are there?
How many dogs are there? What altogether? Well, there's certainly well over 1 million in Scotland, which for a population of 5 million is quite a lot. And I think it's greatly increased the last few years.
Can you join if you don't have a dog and maybe do this on the walk to and from school?
Absolutely, yes. We have members that don't have dogs. We have members that have horses. We have members that have assistance dogs because they're disabled and their dogs pick up for them. Yeah, you don't need to have a dog at all. If you want to pick up litter, that's fantastic.
And how long did it take your daughter to make the logo?
She actually did it very quickly. She likes drawing. She's hoping to do that at university one day. So she didn't take too long.
And how much litter have you picked up?
Oh my goodness, I have absolutely no idea.
This is a very large number.
A very large number over 4 years and probably well beyond because I always picked up when my dogs picked up. So yeah, a lot of litter.
And are there many children helping in the community?
Yes, there are, absolutely. Children love it, actually. I don't know if you do it at your school with litter pickers, because I found when I was a teacher, everyone loved a litter picker, seeing what they could get. So yes, we have a lot of children. A lot of people do it with an adult when they're out with their dog.
Sure. As another person asking, what if you don't have a dog and want to litter pick? And you've said, by all means, yes.
Absolutely.
And what is the most common type of rubbish that you pick up?
Absolutely. The most common type is plastic bottles and cans. So I'm really hoping that when the deposit return scheme starts in the summer and there's a value, because you get 20 pence for every can that you turn or bottle, I hope that will make a difference. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very rich, and maybe you will be if you pick it up as well.
Yeah, in our survey work, we found that cigarette butts and drinks litter, food litter, those are the most commonly found items. So, yeah. Someone else asking if you have a TikTok account.
I don't know.
No.
I have joined TikTok, but I need to get posting some things on TikTok. I love TikTok. Watching other people's, so I need to do it.
Someone else is asking, how many pieces of plastic have you gathered so far?
I've actually got no idea. I mean, every day, bags and bags of it.
Lots.
But yeah, a lot.
At least 2 pieces every walk, so that's a lot of walks.
That is a lot of walks, yeah. But we've
Here's one. Here's one I can help with as well. Someone is asking, how can you litter pick if your mum or dad don't let you because it's dirty? So if I can make a suggestion, we always advise young people especially not to use your hands, because that's how you can cut yourself, or especially with COVID, you probably don't want to be touching drinks, litter, or things that have touched people's mouths with your hands, because then you could accidentally touch your face, and that's not very pleasant. So we always advise to use a litter picker so that you don't injure yourself. So that can avoid touching anything dirty. If that's not an option, we also have a litter survey that you can do where you don't have to touch anything, but you're actually contributing vital information to our work as a charity, which goes to help our partners and other organizations. So if you are not permitted to or not able to or just don't want to touch litter, doing the survey is a viable alternative. And there's information on our Clean Up Scotland part of our website on how you can do that. And it would really be a big help. You'd be contributing to research done across Scotland and fed into our partners across the UK. Marion, maybe you have another suggestion too.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I would definitely not encourage you to pick up litter with your bare hands. I never do either. I pick up with my bag, or if I'm going especially, if I'm out with my dogs and I just have my bag. But if I'm doing a special litter pick, then I would always take a litter picker or wear gloves. Yeah. And I wouldn't encourage you to pick up anything that's been contaminated, like nappies or anything like that, sharp, like glass or etc.
If you don't have a litter picker, our partners, Helping Hand Environmental, will offer a discount for our schools and groups. You can use the code KSB Group, I believe. That's also on our Clean Up Scotland part of our website. Or also we have community hubs that will lend you one if you don't want to purchase one of your own. So all the information for that is on the Clean Up Scotland campaign part of our website. So you can see if there's a hub near you and borrow one if that's an option. Where does all the plastic end up when you put it in the bin? That is a good question. Depends, doesn't it?
Question. Yeah, I think I would. I'm not an expert on that, unfortunately. I think you need to ask your council what they do with their recycling. Maybe get in touch with your local council, because it's maybe slightly different for every council area.
Yes. It also depends on the type of plastic. It also depends if what you're picking up is contaminated. For example, if you pick up a plastic bottle full of snails or full of a liquid, we do not advise you to empty that liquid, because it's not really safe, it's not really clean. So if it's contaminated, unfortunately, that has to go in your landfill waste. If it's not contaminated, it can go into the recycling and gets, like if it's a plastic drinks bottle or the kind of plastic that is recycled in your local authority, it will get bundled up for recycling just like any other plastic does. And a couple more questions, and then we will move on to ideas. What is the most unbelievable piece of rubbish you have found?
I haven't found anything too shocking, but there was someone in our group last week that posted and they had found an artificial leg. And I thought, well, that's quite amazing.
Okay, you'd think someone would be missing that.
You would.
I have to say, I think the most unbelievable thing I've found is washing machine parts, which were quite heavy, and I wondered why someone had dragged them. I don't know. And also, I once litter picked a broken litter picker, which I thought was quite funny. And Mrs. McIntyre asks, will you be able to share the slides with us to look at again? If that's okay with you, Marion, we can do that for you.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay, yep. So I will send a link to the slides and everything for anyone who is interested afterwards. What is the most expensive piece of rubbish you've picked up? Wow, there's so many questions. I don't think we'll have time to get to every single question. So I will send on the questions to you as well. So this will be our last one, and I'll send the questions to you. And they can be, the answers can be uploaded into the folder that we have sent you already. We'll send it out again.
Okay.
If that's okay. So just this one last question, and then we'll
no, sorry.
move on. Yeah, what was the most expensive piece of litter you found? Probably the leg. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I would imagine that is quite expensive.
I would imagine so. Also, people I've noticed in your Facebook group, some people do find money. So, you know, it was worth a rummage around to see what you can find. It's a little reward for doing litter picking, as well as the feel-good feeling of doing good for the environment.
Well, so you can earn money through that. So
very good. And we have, if you don't mind me sharing this, we have, because most schools joining us, we know, will be participating in eco schools. We would like to, well, let's start right at the beginning. So here is an example of what your eco schools action plan could look like following on from this, some ideas of things you could add to your action plan. We know not everyone is participating in eco schools, but for those of you who are, this could be what it would look like. And you'll notice in there that there are several different topics at the top: litter and waste, biodiversity and global citizenship. Actions like litter picking, they fit all of those categories. Now, we know that if you are participating in eco schools, you know that you need to do a litter pick in order to get your Green Flag Award. So that you need to do one anyway, you may as well have a look at Paws on Plastic for that as well. You could do an assembly and teach all of your fellow pupils what you have learned here today. You could do a fundraising event to support Paws on Plastic, because they are a charity and could probably do with your support. You could create posters, run a week campaign or class competition. There are resources on our Clean Up Scotland part of our website, like posters, or you can design your own. And like we were talking about before, you can do our survey as well as or instead of a litter pick. Both are extremely helpful, both in terms of information for our campaigns and our research projects, and also in terms of keeping your environment clean. Can find out where the litter is coming from, then you can take action to stop it. And speaking of litter picks, our Spring Clean Scotland campaign, our annual campaign, is coming again. So please save the date, 17th of March to the 17th of April. And we're having a special schools focus this year. So we're asking schools, if you have not already done your litter pick for your Eco Schools Green Flag Award, or you just fancy doing another one, you could please organise a litter pick or a survey. If you register during this time, between the 17th of March to the 17th of April, if you register your event with us before the 3rd of March, you can receive free tabards in pupil sizes. We have a few boxes left, and we'd be happy to post them out free of charge if you would like them. And the goal is to see which school and also which local authority can collect the most bags of litter, the most full bin bags of litter. So we're going to have a little competition, a little bit of a league table, see if we can find out who is going to pick up the most bags. So you can cheer your local authority on and contribute your bags. And more information about this will be in our mailing list for Eco Schools, our social media and our website. So if you're not already subscribed to our mailing list, please consider doing so to get the most information you can. And our next live lesson is all about global citizenship with Scottish Book Trust and with Christian Aid. And I really hope that you're able to join us. Marion, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to tell us all about Paws on Plastic and answer so many questions. We'll send you the rest of the questions because there were about 20 more.
Yes.
If you don't mind having a look at them, and we'll send out the answers in that folder. But thank you so much for showing us, introducing us to your dogs, and telling us all about Paws on Plastic. And like Marion said, everyone out there, she can do visits with her dogs to your school if you are interested. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks to all schools tuning in across the country. It's amazing seeing where everyone's from. It's fantastic. Lots of Ayrshire schools as well, because I'm from Ayrshire. So great to see them.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and we hope to see you again on our next live lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you.